Regular meeting of council for June 12th to order at 3 p.m. That's for a motion from Councillor Nychuk that council adopt the agenda for this regular council meeting, June 12th, as presented.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Consent agenda, I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Smith that an omnibus motion adopts the following in accordance with council's procedure bylaw, May 23rd, regular meeting minutes as presented, and the strategic priorities chart.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Public comments? Anything from the public before we get started? Linda's shaking her head. Doug, we got two delegations today. So the first one is from the High River Flyers group, and Tim and Jonathan are here. So if you want to just come up to the front desk, please. Marcel will get the microphone turned on for you. You got her.
Okay, great, thanks. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Tim Bradbury. I'm the president of the High River Flyers, and my colleague Jonathan McCarroll is vice president. We come to town today to ask for an amendment to policy number POL 06-102-00 sponsorship procedure. I'll just give you a basic outline. We've got a platinum sponsor, which is the High River Brewing Company, which is a local company to the area, quite new, and they're keen to support causes in the community like ourselves. They're a platinum sponsor for us, and they donate $10,000 a year to us, which really is a fraction of what it costs to run the team. It was $140,000 last year. So that's a fraction, but very important to us. In the current bylaw, or the policy in section 4.3, general guidelines, under number 8, item 2, it says that the sponsorship advertising from companies whose reputation could prove detrimental to the town's public image and whose business is derived from, and that is alcohol, which is listed there. Further down on number 9, on section 2, it says promotion of alcohol and other addictive substances at venues geared primarily to children. It's saying that we can't have that. So we're coming to town today to say, could you please consider this policy from 2014? Is it something you could look at and revisit on our behalf? Their emblem does not in any way depict an alcoholic product, so it's not saying Budweiser or Bacardi or anything like that, and it does not show an alcoholic emblem. It just has their name and then like the river shadow, and it says HR Brewing Co. So again, it's not depicting, but it's an alcohol item. And just really most of the major arenas in the NHL quite freely sponsor, advertise the fact that an alcoholic company is sponsoring them. And as you know, children visit NHL games, etc. So our plea today is to you is, could you please consider our appeal to you to allow us to have High River Brewing Company advertise on the boards at the arena.
Thanks, Tim. Sorry, where do they want to advertise?
On the rink boards around the outside, so they're 4 foot by 3 foot signs.
On the actual boards.
Yeah. They supply all our alcohol to us to sell at games. The AJLC have granted us a licence, and they conducted a review of us and our procedures back in January of this year, and they were very happy the way we were having the alcohol going through our licence system, the way we were storing it, and the fact that we had more than one trained volunteer to serve the alcohol to the public. at games.
So this would be a permanent mount on the boards?
It would be
Right.
it would be on the boards, and it would be a minimum of 2 years, and if they wish to continue, it would be longer.
Now, doesn't High River Brewing, do they bring a tent or something when they
No,
sponsoring your games?
we have our own wooden tiki bar
Oh, okay.
sort of thing at the bottom end of the arena.
Good. I'll just, while I gather my thoughts, but open it up to council if they've got any questions.
I'd like to just add quickly,
Yeah, go ahead, Jonathan.
thank you. Our, every $100 matters to us as the High River
Yeah.
Flyers, and we're just entering and about to celebrate our 100th anniversary with the town, and we've done, some of the past board members and myself did a lot of research and dug back to 1923 when the High River Flyers first started. So we've rebranded the team for this year. We've got the logo done, the league love it. Everybody's behind us. Everyone that's seen it is really excited about it. I wish we could show you guys today. It's an old, it looks like a Spitfire, and it says High River Flyers established 1923. Everything we're doing this year is going to be branded with the logo, and it's really exciting. And you guys, I'm sure you know, it costs, well, we spent $140,000 last year scrambling that we had to do to raise $140,000. So, like I said, every $100 counts, and for High River Brewing to be excited about us and want to give us $10,000, it's massive. It's hard to find any platinum. We call it a platinum sponsor. Anybody to give us $10,000 to get our season going. It's still a fraction of what we need, but it is it's a boost. It's a foundation for us to kick off every year. So we're really excited about it. It just means so much to this team because, I mean, I know
In this case, it all goes to the users. We will be coming to council. We've negotiated an arrangement with the curling club now that we are taking over that part of the building, in which we will revenue share 50% with them. Pending council approval, we'll be coming back in a couple weeks with that arrangement.
All the other businesses that are advertising in the large rink that are on the wall, on the west wall, that revenue goes,
I believe it's minor hockey, doesn't come to us.
It's all minor hockey?
That's minor hockey,
That,
yes.
that all goes to minor hockey, which is separate from the Flyers organization,
All
correct?
that we have is just on the rink board against where the benches are.
Right. Okay. Councillor Jones?
I was just wondering if their sponsorship hinges on that board. Like, are there any other alternate advertising that could be done that's more of a temporary thing, or is they only gonna give you $10,000 if they can do that?
To be honest, they want to be now to have rink board advertising, then that could affect their interest with us, because it's just not our games, it's for minor hockey, it's for lacrosse, so it's a 12-month exposure to everybody.
Sorry,
Yeah, go ahead, John.
included with the rink board, we give them a little spot in our game sheets and stuff like that, so, but the board advertising is, I feel confident in saying that we would lose them as a sponsor if they don't get the board advertising. Everything else we do is pretty minor with, as far as social media and our game day sheets and stuff like that. That board is so important to them. For that, and then $10,000 is a lot of money. I wish we could find 10 companies that would give us $10,000. We could do a lot with that. But.
Well, I understand that, and I mean, at your games, you're allowed alcohol, so, I mean, having that advertising makes sense. But like you said, it would be for minor hockey and lacrosse, and that's partly why that bylaw is there. Although I wasn't here when that bylaw was written, so I don't know the meaning behind it, but, yeah. Thank you.
And that's the sensitivity to it, is that it's not just the Flyers that are playing on that. And I won't compare it to the Saddle Dome or the Calgary Flames organization. This is a fully public facility that has not just the Flyers, but youth hockey, has youth lacrosse, like young kids, the figure skating groups, all the multi-users, 12 months of the year. So it's not just a High River business that's wanting to do this. It's the product that they sell. It's the alcohol, addictive substances on any level. That's the sensitivity of it. If it was something that got placed up during a Flyers game, they pay the Flyers $10,000. We put that on that board, on a public facility that everybody else is renting as well. Well, why doesn't figure skating get some of that? Why doesn't minor hockey get some of that money, right? They're all, like, there's...
with due
it's not
respect,
a-
minor
it's not
hockey
a-
have the back wall, and we don't see any of that.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So,
I get that.
And we do everything we can with minor hockey. We like
Yeah.
to support each other, obviously.
Well, that's a good point, Tim. Why does all the back wall, why doesn't any of that money go to the figure skating or go to the Flyers, right? Good point. Councillor Barton, I'm still working this through my mind. Which is
Thanks,
hard.
thanks, Mayor. Same. I certainly don't want to. I don't want you guys to lose an opportunity. I think we need to maybe become creative in how this happens, if it does happen. Are you guys aware of any other sporting teams, like hockey teams, that are doing like in your league? Anyways?
Yeah, Cochrane Generals,
Yeah.
they have a sponsor that's doing a beer tin for their alcohol sales, and it runs a batch of so many of each different player.
Okay.
So there's alcohol sponsorship involvement
Right.
across the league, practically for most teams,
Right.
because that's now a big revenue of being able to serve alcohol during the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not opposed to the whole serving beer and stuff like that. I don't know. Just trying to think outside the box of, I know this is probably not even possible, but like how the Calgary Flames have the screens in the boards or
Bathrooms.
whatever, right? Or is
Everywhere.
there something else we can, other solution, so. Yeah, I don't want you guys to lose that opportunity, but, yeah, I think it's a further discussion that we need to have long-term for the policy, for sure. There's gotta be some way we can help to accommodate you guys. My feeling anyways.
I can't tell you how much that would be appreciated. I mean, for what it's worth, High River Brewing Company's logo is very subdued. It's kind of black and white. It's not like big flashy, you know, it's.
Oh, no, I agree. It's not a big keg of beer or
Yeah,
anything
no,
on there. No, it's the river and the mountains. And Councillor Kinghorn.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. I tend to concur with your comments about this. Is there any way, I know on that side of the rink where the boards are, there's no room for fans over there, right? There's nobody.
No, it's just the players.
So is there a way we could put something up, perhaps temporarily on the glass during your games, instead of doing the boards up permanently where all the other groups are exposed? Could you put something up behind that glass, maybe? Some coroplast things or whatever? Just, I agree, the rest of these groups that are using the facility, it questions. Might be something to consider that you could put it up for the games and take it down after.
Obviously, if it meant that we would be permitted to advertise, then yes, it was something we would look at.
Councillor Nychuk.
That would obviously greatly affect the High River Brewing Company's exposure for their $10,000. They'd be getting one night a week for the winter months.
But are they sponsoring the Flyers or are they sponsoring the Recplex is really what
Yeah.
it comes down to.
Oh yeah, they're definitely supporting the Flyers.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, a couple of things. It's a town-owned facility. It's not owned by the club, meaning your hockey club. So that's the one piece. But I think the bigger piece is that we've got this written into a bylaw that we can't put this kind of signage up at this point. So I mean, the first hurdle is for us to have, it's not on the agenda today. It's policy? Not a bylaw. Yeah, we've got to come and that's the first piece is to debate that to see if council's supportive of that amendment so that allows it. That's the first step for you guys is so that policy doesn't exist to handcuff you.
Yeah.
And then we can, hopefully work out how it can be beneficial to you guys, to your sponsor and just, beneficial to the community in general. It's hard to raise money, absolutely. Yeah. And that a small brewery in High River is willing to support your club is that's pretty admirable in my book. So I'd like to try to find a way that it works for you guys, works for the brewery, and then in turn helps the community. But we got to talk about that policy first if we, as a council, want to change that. So.
Like, I'm wondering if there's a better way to do it for your games. Councillor Barton, back to you.
Thanks, Mayor. One of the things too that I was thinking, because I've been involved with the Foothills Minor Hockey League or association for 6-7 years now, and we do have a policy in place where we are not allowed to have alcohol as part of our, putting a basket of together for a fundraiser or anything like that. So I guess just in the larger context, that's another discussion that we may need to cross that bridge, right? That I know, I can tell you that that's actually a Foothills Minor Hockey policy, I guess it would be. It's not, because there's other leagues around or other associations that are actually still doing, a basket of wine or whatever it is for the parents. So it's still, I think it's group specific, but I think you need to include them in on the conversation as well, right? At some point, it's definitely something to, I don't know. I think it's worth a larger conversation with them. So
Well, that's absolutely, like, we would definitely have to consult with the other users, figure skating, lacrosse, foothills minor hockey, because they're all gonna be subject to it, so. Counselor Smith?
Thank you, Mayor. So congratulations on 100 years and
Thank you.
for all the heart and hustle that comes with it, because there's no doubt that's a lot. And so just for clarity, this is a 2-year deal that you're looking to have. And is there a manner that you're aware of to retrofit the panel to make it a temporary piece?
At present, it's 2 years. We have a conversation with him. He wants it to be far longer. He wants it to be 20 years.
Sure.
He's that invested in supporting the local cause. We could get maybe a printed banner, which we could affix to the rear side of the plexiglass of a non-playing side, so it's visible. But again, as we said, it's not a permanent fixture which, like anybody else that sells. For example, we got Boston Pizza right there. Well, they serve alcohol. So
Right.
does that mean we can't have Boston Pizza up? It sort of opens up a can of worms on that front.
Yeah.
If we lost that one as well, and that's worth a lot of money to us as well. So, but I mean, it's something we could look at, and if it meant that we could advertise them still, then that would be our only option.
Okay. I agree with Councillor Nychuk. There is first at hand is the policy itself, and then second of all is I guess the manner in which it would be done, right? So I'd like to invite that conversation about the policy then as council and bring it forward.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Counselor Walsh?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass, and thank you for bringing this to us today. I think that you, amongst many other groups, are having to become increasingly resourceful to make these programs still exist. I support the rest of the consensus. This is a policy worth revisiting, but at the same time respecting the family, quote-unquote, quality of, got to be mindful of all those things.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll ask Nancy, Chris, to bring this policy forward to the next council meeting for discussion and what your solutions might look like to be able to find a mutual agreement of making something work here, so. Fair?
Fair, we will do that.
Work, Tim?
Okay.
Fine. We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
we appreciate it very much.
No, and I get it. You guys, it's an expensive little organization to operate, and if you can get some money out of,
Honestly, we've been hanging on by our fingernails.
yeah, no, I know.
And we're, I shouldn't say we're happy to hang on by our fingernails, because I wish we weren't hanging on, but the last handful of years, we've been literally hanging on by our fingernails,
Yeah.
counting on every dollar and doing our best
Yeah, no,
with
I
our
know.
own time to make it work. So if you guys would have a good look at this, we would appreciate it greatly.
If you know of anybody that's got a company that would like to advertise on the board, please contact us. You're more than welcome.
We love the High River Flyers, and we love the town of High River, and I live in Okotoks, and I love coming to High River.
Well, I love Okotoks guys saying that.
No, honestly, I'm probably in High River. I probably average 4 or 5 times a week. I'm in High River. I love this town and I love this team, and man, we're excited about 100-year. This year's going to be big, and we
Cool.
want to fill the stands every night. And we've got ideas to do it, but we can't do it without $150,000.
Yeah.
We just can't do it without 150 grand. I mean, we've got other challenges, obviously with facility, and we'd love to have our own room someday, because I think we're the only junior hockey team in the league that don't have a room, so our guys have to take their bags and their equipment home after every practice and every game, which at the junior hockey level, it would, guys have worked hard to get there. And it's a hard draw, and we work hard at recruiting players, and that in itself is a challenge. So to try and do it without the money, it's getting close to impossible.
Gotcha.
So it means So more to us than we can even explain to you today, honestly.
Well, we'll take one step at a time here. We'll bring this back to the next council meeting and keep going from there.
Well, we appreciate
Okay.
that very much. And
Thanks very much.
Thank you for your time and for
Appreciate it.
listening. It's, you know how important it is to us. Thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, John, and
Thanks, Nancy.
thanks, Tim. Falun Dafa Group, May?
Good afternoon, Mayor Snodgrass and all the city councilors. My name is Mei Chen, and I'm with Falun Dafa Association of Calgary, and I practiced Falun Gong for 26 years. Today, I'd like to give a very brief overview on Falun Dafa or Falun Gong. Falun Dafa is a self-cultivation practice based on the principles truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. It is rooted in Buddhist tradition and consisting of two major components. One is standing exercises and sitting meditation. The second one is self-improvement with moral philosophy, truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. And this picture shows the left side is standing exercise, the right-hand side is sitting meditation. And this group of practitioners, they are doing sitting meditation. And the group practitioner is doing standing exercises. And the Falun Gong was introduced to the public in May 1992 by Mr. Li Hongzhi. And it has been practiced by 100 million people over 100 countries around the world. It is free of charge, which including instruction how to do the exercises, and you can download books online. It's reading free online as well, and it's open to everyone. If anyone wants to join, they're welcome to do so. And the people who often find life-changing experiences. For example, they find that they become more healthy and feel more energetic, and also mentally healthy as well. It's got mental clarity and stress relief. We live in a changing world, right? Other people are under stress, so it's beneficial to practice it to improve both physical and mental health. Falun Dafa Association is a non-profit organization. It consists of volunteers. I'm a volunteer too. And Falun Dafa Association has offered online teaching to everyone who's interested to learning the exercises. It's free charge, right? And also in-person teaching as well, which is free of charge as well. Falun Dafa has received a lot of awards and recognitions around the world in the past years. In Canada, for example, received a lot of recognitions supporting from like MPs, MLAs, mayors, and city councilors. You may or may not aware that Falun Gong has been persecuted in China since July 1999. Before the persecution, Falun Gong was very popular in China. The number of followers reached 100 million people. The number actually exceeded the number of Chinese Communist Party members. So the dictator at that time felt so jealous. So he initiated the persecution against Falun Gong in July 1999. And a lot of followers were arrested, tortured, and some of the organs were taken for profit. So that persecution is still ongoing right now, even though the government has changed. And thank you for your attention. Any questions?
Thanks, May.
Thank you.
Any questions from council? Just one question that I have is, might be going down a rabbit hole, but I'm reading the stuff that you've provided, and I'm trying to see where why the Chinese government is so against what you're doing, because it sounds very healthy, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm trying to, where does that rift come from?
I think the main reason was that the number of followers before the persecution reached 100 million people. The Chinese Communist Party members at that time is around about 60 million. So the number exceeded Chinese Communist Party members. So the dictator was kind of concerned, but actually it's a very peaceful meditation, right? But he feel that the group people, such a large group of people doing that may impact his control or things like that, but in reality it's not the case, right? So he initiated the persecution anyway, that to suppress the people who practice in public or whatsoever, yeah.
So is Falun Dafa politically motivated at all?
It's not. It's Chinese Communist Party. They have a way to fabricate a lot of things, right? To brainwash people. If they say you are political, then you are political, right? But in reality, it is not. It's just the meditation and follow the principles, truth means compassion and tolerance. I think a lot of Chinese people, they're brainwashed as well, right? They feel that the Communist Party says so, then you are the political or you are against the government, but actually we are not against government, we're just against the persecution. And some people even say, oh, you guys are kind of political, but you see, just a very simple example, right? If one family member was persecuted, if other family members try to bring it up to the public and say it's injustice and things like that, right? And they brand you political. Actually, it's not. There's no such connections. But Chinese Communist Party, they do things like that, right? So that's for so many years they've been control China in that way. Just try to control people's mind and everything. Yeah.
Thank you, May.
Thank you.
No questions from council. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Board and committee bylaw. Jody?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Would you like me to go up in front?
No, you're fine right there. I can
All
hear
right,
you
good. All right, so before you is the board and council, or board and committee bylaw, sorry. And this bylaw is a consolidation of a number of bylaws that have been adopted over the years to establish and govern councils, boards, and committees. Administration has reviewed the bylaws and the process for creating boards and committees and recommends that council adopts a single bylaw to govern councils, board, and committees. Taking this approach will reduce the number of bylaws and create consistency in how councils, boards, and committees are managed, with the specifics of each board or committee detailed in the attached schedules. These include items such as the individual mandates, membership terms, and remuneration as applicable, as we do have a couple of boards that include remuneration. Otherwise, the procedures would all be managed in the same manner under one document for all of council's boards and committees. Administration recommends that council adopt the board and committee bylaw and repeal the previous bylaws that established councils, boards, and committees. You will also note there was a resolution passed to establish the Protective Services Advisory Committee, which, when we did the review, should have been established by bylaw. So administration is also asking for that resolution to be rescinded, but in doing so, council needs to reappoint the members, being Councillor Kinghorn and Councillor Nychuk as the alternate members. Any questions from council or comments on the board and committee bylaw?
Councillor Kinghorn?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. High River Regional Airport Board, is it impacted by any of this, or is that kind of a stand-alone?
That one is considered a standalone because it's not a board and committee that council actually created. It's one that's separate as unique between the two municipalities.
Thank you.
No other questions? I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Walsh that council give first reading to bylaw 4615-2023, the board and committee bylaw, and that council gives second reading to bylaw 4615-2023, board and committee bylaw, and that all council give unanimous consent to proceed with third and final reading of bylaw 4615-2023 and the board and committee bylaw.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn that council give third and final reading to bylaw 4615-2023, the board and committee bylaw, and that council repeal the following bylaws. I'm gonna do it quickly, don't worry. Subdivision Development Appeal Board, Assessment Review Boards, establishment of various committees and boards, clarify terms, membership, and roles of the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee, otherwise known as ACAC, establishment of the Highwood River Advisory Committee, establishment of the High River Business and Tourism Advisory Committee, repeal bylaw 4175-2007, High River Environmental Advisory Committee, High River Policing Committee, establish a High River Environmental Advisory Committee, rescind bylaw 4137-2006, Council Governance Committees, bylaw and policy review committee, Council Governance Committee, establish Town Promotions Committee, establish an executive committee, lead committee appointment, establish municipal library, amend bylaw 3330-80, add town manager to the committee, and number 669, appoint a planning advisory committee, and that council rescind resolution RC 100-2022 that's stated there, and that council appoint Councillor Jamie Kinghorn to the Protective Services Advisory Committee and appoint Councillor Michael Nychuk as the alternate to the Protective Services Advisory Committee.
I'll make it short. Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass.
I think
I'll give you that motion.
See if I got any of it right, but. All in favor? Carried. Good cleanup, Jody. Thank you. Sonia, respectful and violence-free workplace policy.
Mayor and Council. I think I'm here for the next two, actually. So, and both of them have similar backgrounds. So in some effort to save time, I'll cover that here for both of them. So the respectful and violence-free workplace policy and accompanying administrative directives, as well as the employee code of conduct, will replace the respective procedures and protocols that were removed from the collective agreement during the 2018 round of bargaining. The respectful and violence-free workplace policy that's in front of you for consideration covers the town's obligations under the Alberta Occupational Health and Safety and Alberta Human Rights legislation, which requires all employers to take appropriate steps to prevent workplace violence, harassment, and discrimination. But we wanted to do more than that. We want to provide a workplace that is respectful, professional, and collaborative, where everyone can feel valued, supported, and have a sense of belonging by ensuring that we cultivate a workplace that supports worker respect and safety. We can continue to retain and attract skilled talent skilled and talented staff members to ensure that we're providing the best service to our community. There are 2 administrative directives which will support the policy, one for workplace violence, one for respectful workplace, which outlines the specific strategies and steps to prevent workplace violence, harassment, and discrimination, including the investigation process. With that, administration recommends that council adopt the respectful and violence-free workplace policy. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from council? Thanks, Anya. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that council adopt the respectful and violence-free workplace policy, HRPOL 100-02.
You have my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Employee code of conduct, Sonia.
Wonderful, thank you. Moving on, I already covered the brief background regarding the employee code of conduct. By providing clear expectations for employees, we can ensure that we cultivate a fair, respectful, ethical, and professional workplace that's focused on utilizing the assets and resources that are entrusted to us in the most responsible way. The Employee Code of Conduct policy that's in front of you sets out expectations for employees, including creating a respectful workplace, upholding the town's reputation, including off-duty conduct and personal social media use, delivering professional customer service, using town assets, time and resources, avoiding conflict of interests, and protecting personal information. This policy also aligns with Council's Code of Conduct and the Respectful and Violence-Free Workplace policy I just spoke to. Again, administration recommends that Council adopt the Employee Code of Conduct policy, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Council questions? Very clear. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Nychuk, the council adopt the Employee Code of Conduct policy, HRPOL 100-03.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Sonia.
Thank you.
Flood modeling project, David and Diana.
Afternoon, Mayor and Council. Today we're here to present to you the flood modeling project. This project was, at this time, we're looking to complete the full scope of this project. This project was put on hold and was removed from the 2023 capital budget. Administration is looking to move forward with this project. This project is very important to the town with the fact that we can use, once the project is complete, we can use it to complete design for infrastructure. We can also use it to inform our emergency response team. We can also use it to inform our capital projects. The fund for this project is already approved. So right now, we're just looking to move the project forward, and I'll hand it over to David to speak to the finance part of it.
Thank you, Diana. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Within the finance section of this RFD, you will note that of the original $1 million received for the flood modeling purpose, approximately $306,000 remains available, with $185,500 anticipated to be spent by the end of project close or December 2023. At project close, we anticipate a residual balance of approximately $121,000 that will either be returned to Alberta Environment and Parks or will be redirected to support other flood mitigation work upon approval of the minister. By approving this project, as funding is already in place from our government partners, there is no impact on the net financial position of the town and no impact on fees or tax rates borne by the residents of the town. And that concludes our comments. Any questions?
Thanks, David. Thanks, Diana. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just curious as to why it was taken off of the capital projects at the start of the budget this year, or was that, did I misunderstand that?
do that. At the time that we developed the capital budget, the project was on hold.
Okay.
And was not anticipated to continue in 2023, so there was no need to bring that work envelope to council at the time of the budget. That was changed in mid-February. We notified the government of the intent to pursue the project in 2023 and to use the residual funds that are available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have capacity to ensure its completion by the deadline?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Thank you.
No further questions. Ask for a motion from Councillor Jones, the council direct administration, excuse me, to add the flood modeling project to the 2023 capital budget list and complete it before the grant expires. And the council direct administration to extend the MSA agreement with Worley Parsons so that this work can be completed.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Carried. Diana, High Country Drive, the infamous.
Okay. So in April of this year, council direct administration to come back to a regular meeting to present the High Country Drive with 4 options. Today, as you can see in the report, we have 6 options for council. Some of the options are temporary options and some of them are permanent options. We also take into account that the engineering report, after doing the evaluation of the intersection, doesn't require for a four-way stop signs. A few of the options do have 4-way stop signs in there. I just want to make that clear for council. So at this time, I'm just going to turn it over to council to make a decision on the options that we have put forward.
Diana. Okay, so just the council's clear, the recommendation is to create a 4-way stop at this intersection and use temporary curbing to reduce the road width to enhance pedestrian safety. That's bump outs, I take it?
Yes, that's correct.
Correct? Realign the golf cart crossing. I'll get you to speak to that in a second. And install speed cushions, speed bumps, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Wide speed bumps, correct? They're just wide speed bumps,
Yes.
right? And paint all 4 crosswalks, so total cost of $90,000. I'll open it up. Can you elaborate on the realignment of the golf cart crossing? Where will those carts go? What's the route?
So right now, the I'll probably turn that over to Riley to give me a little explain a little bit more on that.
Marcel, can we bring Google Maps up and go to that intersection? People can see what we're. Yeah, I know, I want it up on the screen.
Where am I going?
Up High Country Drive, keep going, right there, you got it. Just to your left a bit. Right there, that intersection right there. Now go to kind of this, yeah, the layered, you got her, satellite image. Okay, perfect, thank you. There we go. Okay, so Riley, are we realigning the golf courses entrances at all? Or are we just, the carts will come off of the golf course and go to a different crosswalk, is that right, or?
Not 100% sure yet. Until we get out there and start measuring and laying out. We haven't done a full layout with TC curbs yet with pinches.
Okay.
When you do the pinches, you'll have some increased radiuses, and with truck turning templates, it will push the ped crossings back a little bit. Ultimately, we want them side by side.
Right.
And so whether that's the ped crossing getting pushed back or the golf cart crossing going forwards, the intent is to have them side by side.
Okay. Okay, open it up for council discussion. Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. So I see on your diagram that was in the package here, is there any sort of division between the golf cart path and the pedestrian path, or are they just kind of flat level? Like, what's your vision there? Is there going to be some sort of protection from pedestrians, or are the golf carts going to be chasing them across the road?
Well, we'd keep them separated, but
By
side
what?
by side. But I don't, it would be more delineation or,
Just in paint?
we could paint them, yeah.
Okay. But there's no structure there, and I mean, it would be impossible to do, really, wouldn't it? Okay, thanks.
Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. So that means 2 adjacent crosswalks, is that?
Yes.
Yes. I just want to be clear, I understand. So you're going to have the one that's recessed back for the golf carts, and then a pedestrian one closer into the intersection, is that
Correct.
the vision? Okay, thank you.
So I guess, Riley, that was my confusion in the motion, was what is that, the actual calling it realignment? I just wanted to be clear with what we're doing there. If we're,
So in the package, if this might help, is the, there is a pinched intersection with permanent curbs. The intent would be to mirror that as close as possible with the TC curbs. Does it, oh, I just made it worse, didn't I?
I don't think so. Just trying to figure out which one of these is.
We actually haven't done the layout with the TC curbs. It's just based on
That's the one.
this one.
That's the one I was looking at. Yeah.
It's on page, yes, page 21, that's correct.
So I see what you're saying, right? So the curb comes out, but both crossings are side by side on that or on that bump out
Correct.
area, right?
Yeah.
So that
If we can
makes
push
sense.
closer to the intersection, we will, but
Right. I just, if you try to make the golf carts kind of go to one they're just gonna continue to go straight across, so.
unless there's a
What we
physical
were-
barrier.
What we were
they will.
talking, the
Yeah.
reason why I'm asking is because we were all talking about it earlier, and there was talk about it coming off the golf course over onto the crosswalk, and then back over, and then back onto the golf carts are just gonna go straight anyway, so I think what you've got.
Yeah, unless there's an actual
Councillor Barton
barrier
saying-
to force them to do that. Yes, you're
Yeah,
right.
you're not
They'll
gonna-
just
it's
straight
not
line
gonna
it.
happen.
So it may not be perfectly straight like shown on that drawing, because like I said, we'd like to push a little closer to the intersection, but it'll be similar.
Okay. Councillor Kinghorn, sorry.
Thank you. This might sound like a foolish question, but you're adding quite a bit of grass boulevard to that whole intersection on all 4 corners. Does that have to be grass, or can we do something different in there? Because the cost to maintain that, as we're talking about water and everything else earlier on, can we do something different other than a grass boulevard there?
We're planning on temporary TC curbs. So we would not be, there'd be no grass.
According to your diagram, grass boulevard to be constructed.
That is one of the options. The recommendation is to use TC curbs.
Ah, okay, sorry.
I'm only I'm
working
referencing that
with it.
because that's the one we're going to be closest to. We've never actually had the TC curb option drawn up.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Walsh?
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. The two crossings, one for carts, one for pedestrians, is that realistic? That, like, are we changing their path or bringing the path, like one crossing for the sake of the motorists as well as the aesthetics of this intersection? Like the concretes and there's no grass, there's no aesthetics. We're making an intersection. How do the Basitas feel about this? Like, it sounds like a mess. Sorry.
Well, the TC curb at this time it's temporary, just to see how it actually works. And I mean, if down the road we want to make it permanent, we could probably look at that option, put in grass.
Councillor Barton next, then Councillor Smith.
Thanks, Mayor. Considering we have Lane in the crowd, I was wondering if you had any input you would like to bring from the golf course. For everybody that does know, Lane is the general manager of the golf course.
Not really at this time. It's a pleasure to see something actually taking place. Ultimately, the goal is safety of all pedestrians, your children, your grandchildren. So very pleased to see council taking this seriously.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just curious, and I don't know if I'm just going to bring it up again. Remember we talked about flashing lights at that intersection, and whether it's activated when somebody goes to cross, you push the button. I mean, I walk this intersection every day. I walk the Riverside Drive intersection every day. Those lights work. They just work. And the concern that I have is that when the bus is coming in the morning, at 8 a.m., cars driving east cannot see because the sun is in their eyes. When at 4 o'clock in the school season, whenever the buses stop, the lights right in your eyes as you're driving west. Those flashing lights do add that extra sense of urgency and need to stop or pay attention at least for that intersection. And we've never really landed, in my opinion, on yes or no for that, or a reason why not. So I'm just curious if we can revisit that too. Please.
Sure. Who's
Okay.
going? Me?
I'm asking whoever.
Are you asking council or
I'm
administration?
asking whoever, because I'm curious about the lights. We've kind of gone back and forth on it, but we've never landed anywhere. Or if we have, it's escaping me right now.
Could I comment first?
Please.
So lights would absolutely work. They are an option, but it is an either or thing. You can't do stop control and flashing lights. You have to pick one. But flashing lights is by all means a very viable option.
The other aspect to that as well is that the flashing lights would be only for pedestrians. And the complaint that we did receive was concerns about golf court safety as well. So there's multiple complexities with this intersection with different uses. And so the root cause, as stated in the report, is really the overall design of High Country Drive and with those conflicting uses that are in play.
Councillor Kinghorn?
Just to support co-council's comments at the Protective Services meeting the other night, all three members of the RCMP are very excited about more of the so-called wee lights in town. They think they work very, very well, and that there's a lot of places we need those. So they do work according to our RCMP members.
The one concern we had when we discussed those internally was whether the golf courts would actually use them. So the pedestrians, you may get fairly good compliance, but would a golf cart who's motoring along, are they going to stop, get out, hit the button, get back in and go? That was the concern.
What did you call them lights? We. It's Monday, I learn things. Wee lights. Councillor Nychuk, any comments on the wee lights?
I will forego the wee light conversation. Other than, yes, Riley, I want that one at Holy Spirit Academy. That's can be brought forward at another time. I'm just looking which map in our or drawing in our agenda is the actual. There's a couple that are kind of close. I don't know. I'm on page 103 of my agenda. And there's anyway. The two are very similar, but if I'm counting correctly, there's like 24 or 25 signs that this little diagram shows that you might want to put up. Am I accurate?
There's more. Same thing.
That is a whole bleep pile of signs in a very concentrated area.
I got 21. Hey? Should be.
And then I didn't count these two down here, so that's 23 in total.
19 of all, take away the 2 stop signs.
Is that necessary? Like what engineer from some signage consulting company said that we needed 24 signs? That's a lot. That like driving west, not so bad coming west, but coming east, that's gonna be just a cluster of, how you're gonna see all that. Anyway, I just wanted to bring it up. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent, just an observation. It's a lot of signs
We'll take a look at it.
that, I don't know, there's a lot
We-
of signs,
we-
people don't tend to pay attention to any of them. It just looks like a mess.
We'll take a look at the signs again and
Thank you.
evaluate.
Get rid of the signs, replace it with wee.
There you go. Well, how many signs do you need to show that it's a crosswalk when you painted it as a crosswalk and you have bump outs and you go, I don't know. Anyway,
Lots, but only one wee.
one wee.
Councillor Jones. Follow up that.
Thank you, Mayor. I do like that we are kind of moving forward. I'm thinking a little on this because it has been discussed many times. I agree, the signage looks a lot. I like the idea of the temporary bump outs to see if they work or not. But also with that, that intersection, I think is gonna look a mess. Having the temporary bump outs, 23 signs, right, all this new stuff, I don't know. It's a lot for one little intersection, no?
Keep your email open. And your cell phone, Facebook. You're gonna have a riot. Rant and rave will just tweak on this, baby. Tell ya.
But I do like that it is sort of a, let's see if this works before you spend the money but yeah, there's a lot going on in that.
There is. Councillor Walsh?
Lane, could I ask you directly if you think that a single crossing, if your path was realigned to the sidewalk and there was a wee-woo, is that a feasible?
Wee-wee.
A wee-woo?
Point of order.
Woo-woo?
Wee, not wee-woo.
Okay.
Wee-wee.
excuse me, is it a reasonable solution to offer that light? Do you feel as though the members of your club would approach the same common crossing and enact the light if it was there? Like, obviously, the pathway is going to have to change so that we have one light, one crossing with pedestrians or carts. Before we go any further in woo-woo.
This thing on? Thank you for your question. I certainly did not come here with the intention of delaying this process any further. This is something that was brought to council in 1992 when the conversation began. I brought it forward. We had a staff member T-boned in that intersection several years ago, and the sooner something gets done, the better. The pedestrian crossing that's currently there is the same crossing that the golf carts use. As far as I'm aware, there's never been an incident. If there were flashing crosswalk lights there, I feel that as a user of that area myself, if there's traffic, I would definitely push the button. I would stop. If I had to get off my cart to push the button, I would. If there's no traffic, I would travel across. I value my life enough to play safe there. So again, I don't want to delay anything happening there, and I don't want to undermine all the work that's been done by the administrative. But in my opinion, realistically, painting the curbs to reduce the parking near that intersection and flashing lights would probably be adequate, at least as a starting point. But, something needs to be done sooner than later. So in answer to your question, Councillor, yes, I believe that the two could coexist quite easily.
Thank you. I appreciate your feedback.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Lane. No further questions. Get this going. So I'm going to ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn. Council direct administration to create a four-way stop at this intersection and use temporary curbing to reduce the road width to enhance pedestrian safety, realign the golf cart crossing, install speed cushions, and paint all 4 crosswalks. And the council approve expending $90,000 to complete the proposed changes to the intersection.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. You have my motion.
Good. Any
Now
questions,
now we
comments?
can debate it.
Councillor Smith?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat that? It says to create a 4-way stop at that intersection?
Council direct administration to create a 4-way stop at that intersection. Right?
Okay.
Right.
That's not what's in the drawing, though. 4-way stop.
We are talking about option 5, correct?
Yes, it is. However, the drawing doesn't show. So when we did all the drawings before, it was for the 2-way stop. So right now, it is not showing the 4-way stop sign, if that makes sense.
Okay. I wanted clarity on that, please.
But the drawing that I show on page 96 of your agenda,
It does not show a 4-way stop or turning that intersection into a 4-way stop with the bump outs
well, I see.
and the realigning of the crosswalks.
Sorry, my bad. One of the drawings show a 4-way stop and. Sorry.
Yeah.
All 2-way stops, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Mayor, through to Councillor Smith, those drawings were just used as examples to show what the narrowed down intersection would look like. And those had not been updated with the 4-way stop because the engineers are not recommending a 4-way stop because they don't think it's warranted or any other traffic improvement in that location. So the motion that you see there with the option for option 5 is choking down that intersection, placing 2 additional stop signs on High Country Drive, and painting the crosswalks, and potentially tightening up the distance between the crosswalks and the golf cart crossing.
Okay.
So that's the option 5.
Okay.
So just so that we have a visual on this. If we go to page 90, there's a couple of them that are very similar. But if we go to page 96 of the agenda, we've got bump outs, we've got painted crosswalks, we've got the golf court crossing. The only addition to this drawing is going to be 2 more stop signs.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
Okay, sorry, there's 4 red dots in there. That's why I thought we were running a 4. It's hard to delineate where the lines are all going, so I assumed it was a 4-way stop in that drawing, but on page 96, if you take that drawing and add 2 more signs, so just to be clear, administration, engineering is not recommending a 4-way stop,
That is correct.
right? It's council that's come back saying, let's start with the 4-way stop, see how that works, and go from there. Because we can always make adjustments if something is not working once we start, but, you know, I'm with Elaine, like, we gotta start something. We gotta do something and get this thing going, so the motion, as Councillor Kinghorn's motion, is for the 4-way stop. Anybody wants to amend that, they're more than welcome to ask for an amendment. Councillor Smith.
Can we ask for an amendment then, please, to think about a timeline? There's nothing specified in there for a timeline as a trial, so maybe we try it for 6 months and see if it's serving its purpose, and if it is not, then we revisit it. I'd just like to give ourselves an option. If this doesn't work, I see people blowing through it quite easily, so I'm concerned about that. I think that might be the way to try this.
Do we need a timeline? Because this issues
Can
can
it
be
be?
brought back to council at any point in time and make a motion saying, tear
Okay.
2 of the stop signs out.
Okay,
I just want to, we can put 6 months, a 6-month timeline in there as a trial, but even within those 6 months, we can, if 3 months in, we say, no, this ain't working, we can do
Sure.
it. So I don't know if it's necessary, Kelly,
Okay.
is all I'm saying, I guess, just to keep things clean as much as we can. Chris?
Yes, and Mayor, through to Councillor Smith, the timeline would be, we want to monitor it too to make sure it's working.
yeah.
Because we are going to have some pavement put down that will be the speed cushions, which will create a vertical change in the road geometry that will, in effect, slow people down, if not stop them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Walsh?
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with looking at an end. If this is a temporary thing, how do we define temporary? Because we're going to be asked the questions. I think the biggest thing is that Lane himself communicate with us with regards to the effectiveness so that we resolve this and we're not looking at it, 20 or 30 years from now, and we're working in the eyes of safety. So, but again, I don't want to see a whole bunch of stuff in the intersection any more than you do in your neighborhood. But moving ahead, we do need a resolution.
And just so that the public's clear, that we did, obviously in the agenda, we did consider roundabouts, which is the best way to keep traffic flow and everything else going. But because of an old existing intersection, you don't always have the space needed to do a proper roundabout. And this is one of them with existing driveways and everything else in place. So this is kind of the best starting solution I think we've got. So just so that everybody's clear what you're voting on, I'll read the motion again. The council direct administration to create a 4-way stop at this intersection of Highview Gate and High Country Drive, and use temporary curbing to reduce the road width to enhance pedestrian safety, realign the golf cart crossing, install speed cushions, and paint all 4 crosswalks. And further, that council approve expending $90,000 to complete the proposed changes to the intersection. Made by Councillor Kinghorn. No further questions, all in favor? Carried. Thanks, Diana. Thanks for your help, Lane. Council reports. Anybody got anything? Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'd just like to say a big kudos to our community for a really great event yesterday with the Picnic with a Purpose. I think we had a better part of, I would say maybe 1,200, more than that, 1,500 guests in the park to enjoy better part of 25 agencies that came together to create this event. So kudos to all who came and all who participated, and to the service clubs that supported it, and all of the community members that did as well. We had a lot of really wonderful volunteer spirit in our town yesterday.
Thanks, Kelly. Anybody else? Board and committee reports. On your agenda, the board and committee minutes, the Museum of the Highwood Board minutes from April 19th are attached. Public comments, Jody?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I just wanted to share that we did receive an email after the agenda had been sent out, and due to time sensitivity, I agreed to read it for council today. So it was an email received saying, "Dear Mayor Snodgrass and council persons, I was wondering what the town's plan was to celebrate Pride Month. As we all know, the LGBTQ2S community is often subject to homophobia, transphobia, and sometimes violence. I think it is important to let our town celebrate this community, as we want our town to be inclusive, compassionate, and open to all. Please let me know what there is planned. I am in favor of a permanent rainbow crosswalk. I realize we are into June and perhaps there are time constraints. I would be happy to help in any way going forward. Sincerely, Kim."
Thanks, Jody. So I think this is a conversation that that we need to bring to committee of the whole. Obviously, we're halfway through here, but need to bring this to committee of the whole so that we can talk about this and kind of decide where we land on how we are going to do this. For myself, I think inclusivity is a 365-day per year program that we need to be celebrating all throughout the year, not just the 1 month. But I think council needs to definitely have a conversation about this at the next committee of the whole, please. Good. Council correspondence requiring action. Proclamation of Indigenous Peoples Day. This is the National Indigenous Peoples Day, so I will ask for a motion from Councillor Smith that council proclaim June 21st, 2023 as the Town of High River Indigenous Peoples Day, and that council authorize the mayor to sign the Town of High River's Indigenous Peoples Day proclamation, and that council direct administration to raise the Treaty 7 flag in honor of High River's Indigenous Peoples Day.
I will happily give you that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Correspondence from Ukrainian Canadian Congress, Alberta Provincial Council. Jody, can you do, or Chris, just give me Cole's notes of what the ask is here?
So, Mayor Snodgrass, the ask is an invitation to the entire council to join in Ukrainian Day celebrations that are organized by the Ukrainian Canadian Congress on August 20th, 2023 at the Ukrainian Cultural Heritage Village. There is also somewhat of a request for sponsorship for that same function within the package. And so if they have any desire to sponsor them, they would be more than willing to accept any funding from the Town of High River towards Ukrainian Day celebrations.
Okay. And this event is in Edmonton, is that correct? Did
I
see that somewhere?
believe so. I didn't get a chance to take a look at where the Ukrainian Cultural Heritage Village is, but I believe it's up in Edmonton.
Okay. Any desire from council? I think we keep our sponsorship fairly fairly local, and we've got, in a municipal budget, we try to keep our municipal sponsorships fairly close and tight, so I think this is more of a federal and a provincial piece than municipal. My thoughts. Good. We will pass on sponsorship. Council correspondence for information, Rimrock Tidewater, Highwood High Senior Symphonic Band. Jody, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, just wanted to speak to this one. There was an initial email that was included in your agenda package. However, I did have a couple more emails back and forth with the individual that forwarded the information to us, and just wanted to also recognize the students and the teachers that have been involved since junior high, including Mr. Stern, Mr. Weist, Mr. Stelter, and Mr. Froze, because there are teachers at both Senator Riley Middle School as well as ACO Highwood High School that have been involved in developing the band and the program there over the years. And just wanted to say job well done to all the teachers and students.
Thanks, Jody. Inclusion Foothills Charitable Chairs Raffle. There's a brochure in your agenda regarding that, and senior social gatherings. Is there a brochure? I didn't see anything in here. Oh, there it is. Party at the Patch. So that's every Wednesday from July 5th to August 30th at the FCSS. Now I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that council recess the regular council meeting June 12th, 2023 at 4:22 p.m. and move into a closed meeting.
Yeah, my motion, Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay. So welcome back to the regular council meeting, June 12th, 2023. Couple of motions coming out of in camera. The first one, I'll ask from Councillor Barton that council direct administration to proceed with an independent appraisal at approximate cost of $7,500 to assist in determining the fair market value for the acquisition of the CCMC Medical Center.
Yeah, my motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. And ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn before he leaves that council award Daisy Hagens from the Christ the Redeemer School Division and Francis Holm from the Foothill School Division with the community bursary for 2023 in the amount of $1,000 each, subject to receiving proof of enrollment from both recipients.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. You have my motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Meeting adjourned, 4:57.